New leaked images from the Ferrari garage have pushed the FIA to open a full investigation into Lewis Hamilton's Qatar car, and what these photographs show has sent shockwaves through the paddock. The evidence points to a structural flaw so serious that it explains the unpredictable handling, the violent snapping exits, and the terrifying loss of grip that turned Hamilton's race into one of the most painful of his career. The FIA now believes this flaw may have been present before the race even began, meaning Hamilton drove a Grand Prix with a car that was fundamentally broken in its aerodynamic core. Stay right here because we are about to uncover the full truth behind this investigation, and before we continue, make sure you subscribe so you never miss the information teams do not want fans to hear. The FIA launched its investigation after receiving detailed images from inside the Ferrari garage that exposed a millimetric separation between the floor and the rear suspension assembly of the SF25. This tiny structural deviation created a catastrophic aerodynamic disconnect that destroyed the stability of the car in the fast and medium speed sections of Losail. Hamilton described the car as impossible to control, and now the evidence aligns perfectly with his experience. Hamilton started the race using a hard compound strategy after Ferrari broke park firm on Saturday to attempt a desperate setup correction. From the opening laps, he struggled simply to keep the Ferrari on track. He explained that he was fighting not to spin at every corner entry, a statement that reflects the sudden downforce losses caused by the structural flaw. The FIA reviewed the leaked images and identified stress patterns consistent with floor deformation under high load, creating instability, exactly where Hamilton suffered the most. Radio messages across the race illustrated a driver battling a machine that no longer behaved according to any predictable model. Hamilton said the rear was going everywhere even at moderate speeds. He also questioned how the setup adjustments had made the car worse. The FIA's preliminary review concluded that these symptoms match an aerodynamic platform breaking down repeatedly due to the structural separation detected in the photographs. Ferrari's pace deficit exposed the scale of the problem even further. The SF25 ran between 0.8 and 1.2 seconds per lap slower than the McLaren and the Red Bull, and even Alpine and Williams outpaced them. These gaps removed any possibility of strategic recovery. The FIA noted that both Ferrari drivers suffered identical symptoms, proving the flaw originated in the design or structural integrity of the car rather than setup or driver preference. Leclerc's feedback made the situation even more alarming. He shouted that there was zero grip and described the pace as embarrassing compared with the midfield. These messages align with the structural failure revealed in the leaked images. When both drivers report identical behavior, the issue must be systemic. Ferrari confirmed this in their internal analysis, admitting that the aerodynamic foundation of the SF25 could not support competitive speeds in Qatar. Hamilton also reported severe bouncing under braking into turn 10, a behavior similar to the porpoising crisis of 2022. The FIA identified this as evidence of the aerodynamic platform losing pressure and then regaining it violently. Such oscillations remove driver confidence and damage tire performance. Ferrari's report acknowledged that the bouncing combined with sudden oversteer made the SF25 unpredictable throughout the race. Tire degradation became the final confirmation of the structural collapse. The Ferrari cannot maintain tire temperature because the aerodynamic load changed unpredictably through each corner. Sliding overheated the surface while the core cooled, creating a destructive mismatch that removed any remaining grip. Ferrari documented this in detail, noting that no tire compound reached a stable performance window. Hamilton described the experience as a long afternoon with no speed, summarizing the effect of the aerodynamic failure. The main problem that triggered the FIA investigation came from the millimetric structural disconnect revealed in the leaked images. This separation between the floor and the rear suspension assembly destroyed Ferrari's aerodynamic foundation. The SF25 depends on precise floor pressure to maintain stability in fast corners. Once this pressure was disrupted, the car could not generate stable downforce. Ferrari's park firm breach on Saturday was the first clear indication that the team had discovered a deeper issue but did not understand its full scale. On track, the consequences were immediate. Hamilton struggled to rotate the car on entry and faced sudden oversteer on exit. These symptoms point directly to an aerodynamic base losing pressure mid-corner. The FIA concluded that this behavior matched the structural flaw in the images and could not be corrected through setup alone. Even with mechanical changes, the car could not maintain consistent aerodynamic load. Tire performance collapsed as a result. Without stable downforce, the tires could not generate or maintain internal temperature. Sliding created surface overheating while the core cooled, leading to chronic loss of grip. Both Hamilton and Leclerc reported zero grip throughout the Grand Prix. Ferrari's internal report acknowledged that all tire compounds suffered the same fate due to the instability created by the floor separation. Ferrari's huge pace deficit became undeniable evidence of the problem. Losing nearly 1 full second per lap meant the team was no longer competing within the top midfield, let alone with the leaders. Alpine and Williams overtook Ferrari purely on pace. The FIA highlighted these numbers as proof that the issue stemmed from the aerodynamic structure rather than strategy or tire selection. Leclerc's remarks gave the investigation further weight. He described the situation as embarrassing and insisted that Ferrari had tried everything, yet the car remained slow. These statements matched the structural failure captured in the leaked photographs. The aerodynamic disconnect made the SF25 fundamentally uncompetitive regardless of setup or driving style. Hamilton's comments added another dimension to the problem. When he said the car felt in the wrong direction and had no rear stability, he reinforced what the FIA engineers saw in the images. A car cannot deliver competitive performance without a stable rear platform. The FIA noted that the separation in the floor directly created this instability. By the end of the Grand Prix, both Ferrari drivers finished outside the points, confirming a complete structural collapse of the SF25. The FIA now views Qatar as the moment Ferrari's aerodynamic architecture failed beyond correction. The leaked images formed the basis of the investigation because they revealed a flaw that shaped every second of Hamilton's race. Ferrari's engineering team entered the Qatar Grand Prix with an already narrow operating window for the SF25, yet the structural separation revealed in the leaked images pushed them into a crisis far beyond setup adjustments. The flaw created an aerodynamic vacuum beneath the car in high-speed corners, a condition that destroys stability instantly. Engineers rely on a predictable pressure map beneath the floor to calibrate the entire performance envelope. When that map collapses, every system that depends on it begins to fail. The FIA's initial examination made clear that this structural issue did not simply reduce performance. It dismantled the entire aerodynamic architecture designed to keep the car stable. From the opening laps, engineers monitoring the telemetry saw violent fluctuations in the rear load trace, indicating that the aerodynamic platform was losing pressure without warning. The yaw signal revealed several instances where the car rotated unexpectedly, matching Hamilton's complaints that the rear was stepping out everywhere. Ferrari attempted to calm this behavior by adjusting the differential and shifting the mechanical balance forward, but the instability persisted. The FIA later explained that no mechanical adjustment could compensate for an aerodynamic platform that was structurally compromised. This created a situation where the engineers were attempting to stabilize the symptoms of a problem rather than the cause. As Hamilton continued, the floor misalignment interfered with the consistency of the ride height. When a Formula One car loses vertical stiffness in critical zones, the floor rises and falls outside its optimal position, interrupting the high-energy airflow required to maintain downforce. Ferrari engineers observed this through suspension load sensors, noting fluctuations that did not match any predicted model. The FIA emphasized that these irregularities aligned perfectly with the structural separation shown in the leaked images. This distortion destabilized the car in every phase of each corner, leaving Hamilton without a single section of the lap where the car behaved predictably. The energy recovery system suffered as a direct consequence of this instability. Hybrid systems depend on controlled braking forces to harvest energy effectively. When the rear loses support under braking, the harvesting cycle becomes inconsistent, robbing the car of crucial acceleration performance. Hamilton mentioned this indirectly when he reported that the braking felt unstable, and Ferrari's engineers acknowledged the issue in their internal notes. The FIA identified these braking inconsistencies as secondary effects created by the aerodynamic failure. The unstable platform forced the hybrid system to operate outside its expected window, worsening the overall performance picture. Tire behavior provided yet another layer of evidence that the SF25 suffered a structural failure. Tires require a consistent load distribution to maintain internal temperature. When that load collapses, they begin sliding across the surface, creating heat spikes without building core temperature. Ferrari tracked this through temperature deltas, which revealed that the tires never entered a stable window across the race. Hamilton repeatedly reported zero grip, and Leclerc echoed the same sentiment. The FIA viewed this as irrefutable proof that the car lacked aerodynamic integrity. Without a stable foundation, no tire compound could perform. Ferrari's attempt to salvage the race strategy forced engineers to make compromises that further reduced performance. They revised engine modes, altered fuel targets, and instructed Hamilton to modify his driving inputs to reduce stress on the unstable rear. These decisions helped prevent a complete structural failure, but guaranteed the loss of competitive pace. The FIA timing analysis showed that even Alpine and Williams recorded stronger high-speed cornering speeds, demonstrating the severity of Ferrari's aerodynamic collapse. This was not a small performance deficit. It was a complete mechanical and aerodynamic breakdown. In the final stages of the race, Ferrari adopted a survival strategy. Engineers instructed Hamilton to avoid curbs, limit lateral load spikes, and guide the car home with minimal risk. The FIA highlighted these instructions as a clear sign that Ferrari believed the structural flaw could worsen if pushed any harder. This made the Qatar Grand Prix not only a disappointing performance, but a concerning engineering failure. The investigation now focuses on determining whether the flaw originated from accumulated wear, manufacturing tolerance deviation, or a deeper conceptual weakness within the SF25's architecture. Qatar exposed a vulnerability that Ferrari can no longer ignore.